Hello Internet, Mike Byrne aka Magic Man here again from MMOBomb.com, bringing you another episode of MMO Thoughts. And did President Trump just ban League of Legends skins? If you're watching your Twitter feed or some of the news sites out there, there's a little bit of speculation. So to give you some history here, for a while now, the United States government and other governments around the world have been taking a very close look at different apps coming out of China, particularly TikTok, and potential security vulnerabilities that those apps may or may not have, as far as the collecting of data on US citizens or citizens of other countries and storing them in places that the Chinese government may have access to or gain access to at some point. So in the context of those types of investigations, President of the United States, President Donald Trump, has been very vocal the last few weeks about possibly banning TikTok in the United States unless a purchase of the United States operations was made by a company in the United States. The most preeminent of those being, of course, Microsoft, looking to buy in and take over the operation of something like TikTok in the United States. And while a lot of this has been bluster back and forth in the press lately, tonight, more aptly, we've actually had executive order action taken on behalf of the President of the United States. The executive order specifically targets two areas. One, TikTok, but then also WeChat, the popular mobile chatting app also based in China, which is owned by Tencent, which is where we come in. So Tencent, if you don't know, then maybe you haven't been watching the Free-to-Play cast, and shame on you. You should watch that every week. It's the best show on YouTube. Staff still tells me it's the #1 show on YouTube. I haven't checked myself. I take their word for it. If you don't know about Tencent, they're a very, very big Chinese conglomerate company that has their hands in many pies all over the world, but applicable here is in gaming. They fully own Riot Games. They own, I think, like 40% of Epic at the Epic Games the last time I checked. They own parts and wholes of almost every big title game you've probably touched at some point in the last year, and almost all of the smaller ones that you probably didn't know. It's one of those companies that even if you've never heard of them, they're likely involved in some way in some game you've played, probably recently. Now, here's where the speculation comes in. I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV, and although I've done stage acting since I was the age of 4, I actually don't think I've ever played a lawyer even on stage. So I am not here to give legal expertise to this. I am simply reading this as a game fan and someone that covers this type of stuff on MMO Bomb. And here's where the language gets tricky. Now, we're going to focus exclusively on the WeChat portion of this, since they're owned by Tencent, which is a huge factor in free-to-play gaming, particularly League of Legends with Riot Games and some other companies, Epic Games and Fortnite, that we talk about on the site. Now, from Section 1A of this executive order, here's how it reads. The following actions shall be prohibited beginning 45 days after the date of this order to the extent permitted under applicable law. Any transaction that is related to WeChat by any person or with respect to any property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, with Tencent Holdings Limited, Shenzhen, China, or any subsidiary of that entity, as identified by the Secretary of Commerce under Section 1C of this order. Essentially, banning any financial transaction with WeChat. Now, where people have had a little more speculation is the subsequent line pointing out that with Tencent Holdings or any subsidiary or with respect to any property. So the speculation has been, does this mean that, yes, this initially targets just WeChat, but does it also, maybe inadvertently, target all financial dealings with Tencent or subsidiaries? And what does it mean to be a subsidiary? Is it somebody fully owned by Tencent? Is it somebody majority owned by Tencent? And is it somebody that Tencent has even a 1% stake in? And it's because of the word "or" being thrown about here. It's very easy to say any transaction that's related to WeChat by any person. Okay, that's just a ban on WeChat financial transactions. Or with respect to any property with Tencent Holdings or any subsidiary of that entity. So does this mean that you're now banned, essentially 45 days from now, from buying League of Legends skins because Riot is owned by Tencent, and Tencent is targeted here by the OR language in Section 1A? Well, again, not a legal expert, but I'm gonna go with a hard no on this one. You'll be fine. And there's a number of reasons that I feel that way. One, I don't think this executive order is actually going to take place. It gives a 45-day time window, first off, and there's specifically a clause later that excludes any contract entered into or any license permitted or granted before the date of the order. So basically, anything that was prior to today, the signing of the order, is grandfathered out, kind of. Two, there is way too much money at stake here for this executive order to actually really carry any weight. And again, that's just my personal opinion. It's one of those things where there's so much money involved that even if you lose the operating control in the United States and you turn that over to another company, say Microsoft, you're getting so much front-end money for them to take it. There's just way too much money involved. Nobody wants to see either of these particular apps banned flat outright and just go away. There's too much money at stake. Finally, I would give you this point. In Section 1A that I just read, it does say at the end that these are entities identified by the Secretary of Commerce under Section 1C. And I don't think a lot of people are reading the actual order to take a look at what Section 1C says, because Section 1C is explicitly clear and concise. 45 days after the date of this order, the Secretary shall identify the transactions subject to subsection A of this section. Meaning that even if they haven't already, which I would hope people have taken a look at how broad the Tencent portfolio is and what impacts this may inadvertently have, a ban like this, even if they haven't already, the Secretary of Commerce 45 days from now, basically in one sentence, is going to get to handpick the transactions that are subject to this banning. And I don't think it's going to take a rocket scientist or even a lawyer at that point to say, yeah, you buying a League of Legends skin is not what we had in mind when we were worried about the potential security risks of WeChat and threatening to ban financial transactions with them. That's just my take on it. A few reasons why I don't think it's going to be of any consequence for your Valorant skins, your League of Legends skins, your Fortnite skins, or anything like that. But definitely something to talk about and get your opinion on. So let me know how you feel in the comments below. Does this actually have teeth? Will this ban go into place? Is it more aggressive than maybe I'm thinking? And this is going after big Chinese conglomerates, whether it's just TikTok or WeChat, and instead looking at their entire portfolio. Could it have an impact? Let me know how you feel in the comments below. And until next time, gang, stay safe, and we'll see you on the servers.